And then you've seen Nepal play the last time here. Sadly, we didn't have any match today. But what was your experts from that game?
Yeah, look, the disappointment really, not just with the abandonment today, but I suppose the opening match against Canada, Nepal just felt a bit flat to me. They had a decent series in terms of the games against the Windward Islands, and then against, I think it was a Houston Hurricane side they played up in Prairie View, which is different to Grand Prairie. It's a little bit confusing between the two grounds. A little bit flat, very different conditions here. They look like good batting conditions, exceptional outfield, really good square. It's actually a fantastic stadium that they've pulled together, the Major League Cricket team here in Grand Prairie in Texas. But Nepal just a little bit under strength, under par, plenty of time for the defence back ahead of that first game come the fourth.
There are a lot of noises outside saying that Nepal are tired with a lot of cricket playing. So do you think this is a blessing in disguise that the match has been called up?
Maybe. It could be. Look, I saw them training indoors yesterday. I think the enthusiasm, the keenness that the Nepal players have, I know from being in and around them, is just so extreme. It's just so strong that they always want to be playing. Quite often, I think Monty Desai, Vikram Napoli and all the guys will say, okay, I think we should take a rest today. But Depender will say, no, I want to go and field another 200 balls. Rohit Pedal will say, I want to go and hit another 200 balls. And Sampal will say, I want to go bowl some. So I don't think come the fourth there should be any concerns. I think the team will be very well prepared. I think they've had a really good prep period. I think all the associates have actually got in well in advance. And Nepal, like the other 8 associates here at the World Cup, should be really confident and optimistic for some big wins.
You mentioned Dipender there. We didn't have his service in the last 4 matches. How important do you think? We know he's important, but how big of an impact will he have when he's back at the field?
I think it is really hard to overstate how important Dipender Singh is to this team. And it's three-dimensional. It's with everything. And then he's turning into a leader in the team, I feel, as well. So yeah, with bat, ball and in the field, his importance cannot be explained enough. He is a sensational cricketer. I'm so excited about the world waking up to Dipender Singh. I think it's taken probably a little bit longer than it should have, as it does with many talents from the associate nations. But we heard Carlos Brathwaite repeat what I already told him in the preview film for this T20 World Cup. He is, in my opinion, one of the best 5 fielders in the world. Carlos said he's the best fielder in the world. I'm glad he shares my views now, and certainly, look, I think it's going to be an incredible tournament for him. Him being fit, at 100% fit and on the pitch and electric in this event is going to be so exciting to watch.
So now we're playing Netherlands first up in June 4th, and Netherlands, they are supposed to have a game there with the weather. I don't think it can, but do you think Nepal hold an advantage that they already knew what these wicket plays like?
Yeah, definitely. I think conditions and localised conditions are going to be really advantageous. Nepal have their first game here against the Netherlands before travelling to Florida to play 1 game and then 2 down in St. Vincent. The Dutch are a brilliant side. They really are. Don't look at that squad and think no Rolf van der Merwe, no Colin Ackerman and think they're not strong. I thought they were exceptional at points of that tri-series. They probably should have beaten Ireland in both games that they played against them. In fact, they definitely should have, really, to be honest, although they did lose one of the games to Scotland. They're really well led. They've got an incredible culture around the group. We saw that in the main 50 over World Cup last year. And coming to the T20 game, we saw them beat Sri Lanka by 20 runs in the warm-up. They're going to be a formidable opposition against Nepal, but I think it's a really good point. Could the fact that Nepal have had a full game here, I can't see the Dutch getting on the park this evening, it could just be a little bit of an advantage. And as Nepal, who know the Netherlands well, they know that if they play well, they can definitely win that opening game. You win that opening game in that group, then all of a sudden anything's possible.
It's an important game for both the teams, both associates being in the first game. How important will that win be, especially for Nepal, given that they're playing South Africa, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh next?
It feels a bit like a must-win in terms of if you want to get to the Super 8 for both teams. And the crazy thing about this group, I really fancy the Netherlands to beat Bangladesh, and I think they could do South Africa again. But I also quite fancy Nepal to beat Netherlands in the opening game. So you've got one of these remarkable groups where everyone could beat everyone. I'd make South Africa big favourites against Sri Lanka, but then I'd make Sri Lanka big favourites against the other 3 teams in the group. So, and then don't rule out Bangladesh against Sri Lanka, because there's that huge rivalry between them. For both the associate sides in the Group D, the Group of Death, you probably have to win that opening game if you want to get to the Super 8. I just have a sneaking suspicion Nepal, in front of a huge Nepalese community that we've seen and interacted with here already in Texas, I think that's going to be the 12th player off the field. I just have a sneaking suspicion. I don't know why. I just think Nepal are going to win on June 4th.
You've been following Nepal all the time, and you've seen we've failed, we've seen we've won. The opening stand at the moment, Asif and Kusal, they've not quite fired. Would you back them, or would you have an ill in between those two?
My personal opinion is that I don't think you can play all three of those openers, if you will. I think Rohit has to bat at 3. And I think that is so critical for the entire balance of the team. We saw how brilliant he was against the West Indies A team. It was maybe the best individual Nepali batting performance in the last decade. Maybe some Paris Khadka feats back in the day could have rivaled it. But in the modern era, I think it's the best ever individual batting performance. So as a consequence for me, Paudel has to bat at 3. And I'm not sure whether you can slot a Bertel or a Sheikh or Anil Shah down at a number 6 or a number 7. So as a consequence, they're probably going to stick with the 2. I would suspect Anil Shah could be the unlucky one to miss out. The problem is both Kushal Bertel and even Asif Sheikh just look a little bit shy of form, don't they? They looked out of rhythm, out of touch here. I'd like to see them go a little bit harder, be a bit more attacking in the power play. They've got so many good batters to come that will follow them. Gulshan Jha, Dipender Singh Hero, Paudel, all capable of striking up over 150 consistently. Even Sandeep Johra can do that too. So I'd like to see them have a better crack in the power play. If they get out, so be it. I'd almost rather see 1 off 2 as opposed to 10 off 18. And I think that's really important. You can't chew up balls in the power play, particularly what should be a high-scoring venue, presuming this weather goes away.
Last one, we're playing the World Cup second time. We rarely get to play against the Test matches. Do you think out of 3, will we get anyone win the historic win that we're looking forward to?
Well, my reputation is staked on it. I'm not sure what my reputation is worth, but I really just have a feeling everything has been kind of coming towards this moment, hasn't it? It's the biggest and best World Cup of all time. The associates have never been better prepared. I think there's going to be 4 or 5 victories in the group stages for associates over full members. And I think one of those is going to be a first ever, a historic, a momentous, a quite spine-tingling, magical moment for Nepal to beat a Test nation for the first time. It's not a case of if it's going to happen, it's a case of when. And to do it on the biggest stage here, whether it be in the USA or down in St. Vincent, I think it is going to happen. The game I really fancy Nepal to beat Bangladesh. Sri Lanka might be difficult with the matchup, particularly with the bowling stocks that they have, Hasaranga, Theekshana, Pathirana, and then the express pace of South Africa is going to be a challenge within itself. But I just fancy that game against the Bangladesh. I've been predicting it for, well, the best part of a year now. We're 7 months since they qualified back in Kathmandu. I think it's going to come true. Keep believing. If you're a Nepal fan, you have to keep believing. Don't get negative, don't get down, even if they lose to the Netherlands. These are halcyon days. They're the greatest days of any sports fan's lives. Their national team playing on the biggest stage that there is. So stay behind them and keep going, and join Nepal.